This episode is going to be by far the most important one so far. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to add a lot of effects and really cool things into the very first part of this level. We're going to spice it up to make it look excellent. Alright, my boys, it is time to add effects into this level because we're gonna have to make this look spicy, otherwise it's not gonna get featured. I mean, the current state, it just looks raw. It still looks a bit raw. So we're gonna add a gradient trigger and it's gonna add a little flashbang, so be careful. But what we're gonna do is click on edit object, the very first thing, and you're gonna see this menu, and this is just you providing it of what colors you want this to be. So we're gonna choose color channel 5, which is set to black and also blending, and the detail color is gonna be the next free one, but we're just gonna make it blending and then go to OK. And now what's going to happen is that if you click on OK and go to the right, you're going to see that the colors have actually changed to black and also white to the background. So that is very nice. So that's not what we want. We want to flip it by going into here like that, or you can click E on your keyboard. So we want the white kind of coming from down, and up it should be black. So this trigger basically just adds a gradient whenever you want. So we're going to click on edit special and it's going to bring up this menu. Don't be scared. First thing is give it a new ID and then make it additive. And as you guys can see, now we have a glow that is going from white into nothing, or basically the color of the background that was behind, just as default. So now what we want to do is go to max. This way the gradient is on top of everything as opposed to only the background, right? Now make it max, and now what we're going to do is we're going to move it to the behind this line so that it always is active, and we're going to click on this one whilst having this one selected. Click on here, click on the 2, and now we can change the color to whatever we want. And you can choose the color that fits your level, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna scroll through this thing and see what works pretty good. I kind of feel like red works pretty good, and now as you guys can see, if you start your level, it's gonna look red-ish, but it's still not perfect. So what we're gonna do is you guys can see that if you started, the gradient is kind of beginning below the ground, but we don't really want that. We want the gradient to start right over here. So what we can do is add an object and give it a group ID of 63. And then what we're going to do is go to the gradient trigger, go to edit special, and down 63. D stands for down, U for up, L left, R right. So this is right. We want to do the down so that it's limited, so that the down is from this specific point, and that is perfect. And we're actually not going to make this on top of everything. We're just going to make it in the background, and this way it's just going to give the background a nice little glow effect, and you can adjust the values as you want. I'm going to make this color a bit like that, maybe adjust it to a bit reddish like that. And this way we have a clean looking background. I'm going to change the background color maybe to something else. Let me see what would look cool. Maybe a full blue like that would be looking a bit better. You can also show the ground to see how the full project is going to look like. And we're going to zoom out a bit. So we're just adding some stuff to make this look cleaner. I'm going to zoom out to maybe 0.9 on 0 times so that the level starts like that. And also the camera offset is going to be +10 instantly, of course. Actually, we're going to do +20, and like that, you guys can see that now we are able to see much more. And slowly, we're going to move this one back to 0 on an ease in and out, of course. So this way, camera kind of starts going down, but that's a bit too fast. So maybe even like that. So this way, the camera goes again down, and it looks okay. The camera so far looks pretty clean. So I'm kind of still unhappy about this one, so I'm just going to go ahead and make it on color 5 like it used to be, and bring this again to max, and make sure it's on T4, not max, because we don't want it to be on the ground. Although this block is set to be here, there's still a little bit on the ground, and even if you move this a bit, it's like kind of hard to get it right. So just put it somewhere in here into the ground, and then make this below the ground, and this way you have this thing. And we're actually also going to limit it from the top. So what we're going to do is add just any object you want. give it a group ID of 64, and then go to the gradient and give the upper value a 64. So this way you have this glow that is going between these two lines, which is exactly what we want. We don't want it to be like that. We kind of want it to be limited through these guys. And this way you guys can see that it's starting to look a bit cleaner. And I'm going to see if I can adjust the colors. So this is all it is about right now, just adjusting the colors, getting the right feel that is going to make your level look nice and cool. This looks pretty good so far. So now I had an idea of kind of adding like a, I don't know, something that's coming from up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to these grass objects. We're going to go to a new layer, just put them on a new layer and then go to that layer. And then we're going to just scale this up like so. And then we're going to just start spamming it everywhere. We're going to do something like that, maybe a bit over there like so. And in here, it's going to start to slowly go away like that. So now what we want to do is scale it a bit like that using the warping system just to get a little bit of variations and then kind of spam it in between so that it doesn't feel like you have copied and pasted that. This is always important when it comes to copy and paste, is that you don't use the same object over and over again, but if you do, you have to kind of add some variations to it. This way it doesn't feel like it's too copy and pasted, right? So something like that. And I'm also going to add this one because that one just completely looks different. This, what's it called? Like the grass object. So just spamming it, this really just randomly everywhere on this map. And I'm just going to like use like a terrain, you can say, from top to bottom so that we can fill it in with black and kind of put it on top of everything. This way it's going to look a lot cleaner than just having an empty spot up there. And I'm just going to make sure to save every now and then, make sure you save so that you don't lose your progress. And now what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to copy, we're just going to fill in these spots and we're going to make it, you can really use any object you want, but I'm just going to use this circle over here and I'm just going to, you know, kind of like slowly manage to close in these gaps with as fewer objects as possible. That way we can have a much cleaner and optimized looking thing. All right, so in here we can circle in there and then in there, and then I'm just going to fill these like smaller gaps because these ones are like the hardest to do. And then we can simply just add a massive block up top. This way we can cover the area on the top, the whole area. And with that, it actually is starting to look pretty nice. So now we're going to use this rectangle over there, scale it up, actually not too much because this is going to otherwise go invisible if you are on the edges of the screen, which is absolutely not what we want. So like that, just filling in the rest of the details, going from big to mini. And now it is time to just kind of fill in the upper part in case somehow you manage to see that. We don't want you to see the background again. So just copying and pasting it, just kind of adds more detail into the level, kind of makes it a lot cooler. And now we're going to select everything. We're going to make it on T3 and we're going to make it color black. This way we have this nice little kind of like you're in a cave or something, which is honestly awesome. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy this one and kind of bring it over here because I kind of want this to kind of go from very low like that to kind of go up again, if you guys know what I'm saying. So start very low and then go up from there. So maybe something like that. I'm not rotating these guys because I want them all to face down. This is what we want. This is what we're aiming for. And that's what we're trying to do using these blocks. So now we're going to copy this one and kind of make it like that so that it doesn't have this weird, you know, sharp edge because it all should feel like it's very smooth like that. And this looks a lot cleaner. This looks much better than previously. So we're right now just adding some random stuff into the scene to make it look less empty. And now I actually want to start pulsing these blocks because you guys can see, or as you guys can hear, if you guys can hear the song, the song is kind of playing really fast. And I'm going to turn up the music volume for this one. I'm going to click on save and play and actually go to the music and kind of increase it a bit so you guys can hear it as well. And like that, you guys can hear the song probably, right? And now we're going to add a pulsing to the blocks. And the way we're going to do that is by copying this block, pasting it up there just so that we have a separate block, and check in on the color. So it's on color 7 and color 8. So we're going to add a pulse, this one, we're going to add this one, and then go to here, make sure you have selected channel, and click on 7. And now if you click on fade out, make it like 0.7, and go like that, you're going to see that all these blocks are going to pulse. So that is awesome. Actually, I'm going to do 8 first, and we're going to pulse them to a kind of yellowish, so maybe something like that. And this is 8, and we're going to duplicate it by Control D or clicking on copy and paste, and then we're going to move it up and make it color 7. So 7 should be, you kind of just go to the right beginning frame of when this starts, and then you can click on this color thing to adjust the color while you are seeing everything. So we're going to make it very dark, of course, and then we're going to go maybe just look for a thing that works. I think kind of like bluish would work. So now you can see that they are pulsing, and this is perfect. We just now have to find the perfect time to pulse these guys, and the way to figure out the perfect time is to basically just start the song and see where you are. So I kind of feel like boom. So in here, if they do like that, and then in here again, so boom, boom, boom. Yeah, so like that, this and that, this and that, and then it goes like that. And I think it should be a lot. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, this is a lot cleaner. And what you can do is copy and paste it again. I'm just gonna pulse some random stuff, and I'm gonna see if we can pulse the object color using this plus in here, and then select the object and see, this is like the outline. We can pulse it to white if you want to, because by default it's kind of yellowish, as you guys can see. So if you pulse it, it kind of goes to white as well. This line specifically kind of goes to white. And we want to see if we can define a different color. So go in here, see what fits in here. Maybe if we make it, I don't know, actually nothing fits. So maybe black. So this way you kind of have this effect, which is, I don't like this that much. I'm going to remove the object, and we're going to, instead of removing it, actually, we're going to edit object and actually pulse the background, because the background also needs a bunch of pulses as well. So we're going to we're going to pulse the background to color, I don't know, like if we go maybe, let's just figure out something that works with your current pulsing. So maybe something a bit brighter, because it's not going to happen that often. So maybe something like that would work cool. So from this to that, so like that, boom. Yeah, this is not bad. You can really just experiment with it, and I'm going to show you what you could do instead of just copying and pasting this every time you do a new change. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this, and we're actually going to go ahead and select all of these guys, give them a new group ID of 65, and then we're going to go to edit object, make them spawn triggered and multi-trigger. This way they are going to be spawned using a different trigger, just like we told you guys in the previous episodes. And now we can spawn them using a spawn trigger, and this one just spawns a set of triggers. So we want to spawn 65 because of these guys. So you can go into edit object and just click 65, and as you guys can see, now if we enter this, it's just gonna pulse, which is perfect, because now we can get rid of all of these guys, and actually we just need the positions of them. So I'm just gonna copy and paste the spawn trigger. We want to do the pulsing in there, in here, in there, and over here as well, like that, and in there, and maybe one more even, like that. Okay, so now we can just get rid of all of these guys, and it's just gonna keep pulsing as previously. But this way we have made it a lot cleaner by basically compacting these things, and now it is much easier to add new pulses into that thing or add new effects or something. So what I'm thinking of doing now is I want to have a new effect in the background. I want to have a like a custom background that is always like having an effect on it or something. So my idea is there. I have an idea in mind, and I'm going to explain it real quick, and then we're going to get into implementing it. So we're going to add this one, go into a new layer, and then go right there. So what I want to have is I want to have like kind of a structure like so that it's kind of looks like a wall. And then if you copy and paste this one, it's actually gonna look like a pillar, which is perfect, because now if you make it in the background, we scale, we make it a bit less bright. You guys can see that this is looking not bad. And now we're going to use a lot of triggers, so you guys better focus. So we're going to select all of these guys, bring them to color, to group ID of 66. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do an area tint on them. So add the area tint triggers. And what we're going to do is we're going to add another object right here. You can add any object you want, doesn't really matter. But just make sure it doesn't have a hitbox or anything, just because otherwise the player is going to interact with it and it's going to be weird. Just add any of these guys, I would recommend. So then we want to go to a new group ID, just make it 67. So these guys are 66 and this one is 67. Make sure you only have one object that is on 67 group ID. And now go to the area tint and then click on here and then over there and then 66 and then 65, I think. So these guys have, so the wall that you added is going to have 66. The next one is 67. So the parent, so this one, the center group ID is going to be 67. That's one object that you only added one of. And the wall is going to be 66, which is the target object. So this one's going to be targeted and this one's going to be the center group ID. And perfect. Now what we want to do is we're going to select this one and I'm going to show you in a bit what this means. But for now, we're just going to select a color, which I'm going to choose 22 or 19. And if we put 19 in here and select tint to all the way 1 and we make this length like 20, you guys can see that if you move this all over here, you guys can see that wherever we move this, it's gonna kind of fade these guys into the given color, which was 19, which gives it a lot of cool effects. And now look at it. If we add a move trigger and move 67 up slowly by a cool thing, look at how it's gonna kind of make it go like that, which is honestly just perfect. This is exactly what we want. And what's cool is that you can actually select all of these guys and make them black blending. Color 5, channel 5 for me is black blending. And now they're going to go from invisible to visible, which honestly looks awesome. But I think the thing that we had before, just the default by light background color, is working pretty good. So perfect. So what I want to do here is that I want this to pulse. So I want 67 to go quickly to 130 like that. And we're gonna do ease out, so this way it kind of goes fast and then slow, which is perfect. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do a little bit faster, so like that, maybe a bit even more, so like that. Yeah, so now it goes from here to there, and now we can add that to our pulsing thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this up like that really fast, and then we're going to instantly bring it back down so that we can loop this movement of going up slowly and then instantly down and slowly up and then instantly down. We're going to just have to loop that thing by basically just going to here, and then we're going to copy and paste this one. Just make sure that the length is not too much. I think this is a bit too much, so I'm just going to go ahead and make it 0.7 perhaps. Yeah, this shouldn't make that much of a difference. And now we can copy and paste it, put it right at the end and make it go back. So we moved it 130 to the top. Now we want to move it downwards by 130, and we're going to click on the silent. Silent just brings this value to 0. And if you actually put here a value, and it just kind of keeps it like that, but it's actually going to be 0. So it's going to move instantly to minus 130. So just make sure you click on silent and don't play around with this value anymore. So now what we're going to do is we're going to loop these things. And now if you guys focus on this one, you guys are going to see that it's going to go up and then down and then up and then down. So what's important here is that this one moves it by 130 with a time of 0.7. So slowly it's going to go up and then instantly it's going to go down. So what we want to do is we want to, after triggering this one, and this one triggers that one, and after triggering this one, you want to instantly trigger that one again. So we're going to go to this spawn trigger, and as you guys remember when we learned about how this system works, we're going to go to here and bring this value all the way to 0. So the delay is 0, so that it instantly goes back down and then goes up again. And that is perfect. So now what we can do is what we want to do is we're actually going to delete these guys because looping it is not that optimal. So what we're going to do is give these guys 68, just make sure they are on spawn and multi-trigger as well. So 68, and we're going to add a spawn trigger into our group object over here, and we're going to do 68, but we're going to click on spawn ordered. So, and then also make it spawn triggered and multi-trigger, and select this one, copy value, and then select that one, paste value. And this way, all these guys have the same group ID, meaning that every time we pulse the background using this trigger, we're also going to move this one up and then instantly down. And what this does is that the spawn ordered is basically going to trigger these guys from left to right. while also keeping in mind that there is a distance between them. So it's as if you are moving through them from left to right. So now if we make it go like that, you guys are going to see that, okay, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this everywhere so that you can actually see the effects. And now this is going to slowly go up like that. Awesome. This is looking great. And this is exactly what we want. And before I actually just spam this, I actually want to do a bunch of adjustments to them. So the first thing is we're going to move this all the way to the left because it doesn't really matter. We don't want to see it. And I'm going to also move it to the bottom so that you can't see the effect at first. And now what we're going to do is we are going to add glow to this to make it just feel more fancy. And this may not look good. I'm just going to test if it's going to look good or not. So we're going to add a glow like this, and then we're going to warp it to make it fit this block, and then we're going to copy the colors and everything of this brick, and then we're going to paste it in here. This way they have the same color and the same everything. And we're going to make it, the brightness, we're going to change it like that. And then we're going to copy and paste like that, copy and paste over there and over here. And then we're going to align them all on the X. This way they are perfectly aligned like that. Now we can move them like so. And now we can move this structure up like that. And that is looking great. So now we have added glow to our things, but we're going to select them and actually make them a bit lighter. And we're going to make them a bit bigger so that you kind of see them as well like that. And as you guys can see, when they pulse, they just look phenomenal. And if we add them over there, boom, this is just so much better. With the glow, just adds so much potential to it. It is awesome. So what we're going to do is we are going to, I kind of feel like this is, so this is something that now we can copy and paste, but I don't want to just copy and paste it throughout this whole part. So what I'm instead going to do is I'm actually going to do a bunch of variations by basically maybe just, you know, doing something like this instead of that, and then copy and paste this one over there, and then we can kind of combine it again. So it's basically going to be, we're going to select these guys first and delete them. I always wanted to start and begin with the same height block. This way it doesn't look like a wall, but instead it looks like a pillar, which is perfect, exactly what we want. And if we just add these guys at the places where it feels like it's empty, it's just going to look clean. And yeah, now we have this massive wall, which we can add in here if you want to. And yeah, I'm going to add this one at the, actually it doesn't make that much sense to add it at the beginning because there is no effect at the beginning. And this is already looking excellent. I absolutely love it. We are making effects, my friends. We are making effects. And another thing I want to do with this pulsing thing is I'm actually going to pulse this gradient as well, because this has a color of 34. So if you copy and paste one of these guys and 34, you guys can see that the gradient that we added is now also pulsing, which is just perfect. As you guys can see, the addition of this spawn trigger has actually helped us a lot, because instead of having to copy and paste all these new effects that we decided to add, we just have to add them into this group ID, and they can just, and also what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another one at the beginning because there's also like a small pulse. Yeah. And yeah, with that, the blocks actually look a lot cleaner. And this is honestly looking awesome so far, but it still feels a bit too empty. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of add more stuff to it to kind of feel it, kind of make it feel more, more not empty, more filled, you can say. And yeah, these ones, of course, have to go to the far back so that they are behind everything. And this is looking excellent. And another thing that I want to add is going to be, I'm going to add these ones. I'm going to make them very big, make them in the very background. And I'm going to add them kind of behind these guys. I'm going to give them the color of 34. And actually, I'm going to give them the color of 5, which is going to be completely invisible. And you guys are going to see this trick that we're going to do. We're going to go to their layer, and then we're going to kind of copy and paste it like randomly on here. And then we're just going to kind of like fill in with this line of this grass that we added, which is kind of making it look like a cave or something. And now we're going to select everything, every single one of these guys, and we're going to give them a group ID of 69, baby. We have reached it. So now we're going to copy and paste these ones, and we're going to pulse 69, but this time we're going to pulse the group ID and not the color channel. Now, As you guys can see, these guys are being pulsed as well, and it kind of just gives it this nice vibes. I'm not gonna lie. So these ones are actually gonna have a layering of a bit higher than I thought. So maybe T2 should look cool like that. And let me just move them up a little bit so that the effect is kind of just slightly visible like that. And the color is also going to be changed. The yellow is just, we have too much yellow. So I'm going to change the color to, wait, is the color not changing? Oh, we can just change the color from here. So the color we're going to have to use is, I don't know, red kind of sounds cool. Red, like a very vibrant, like that. Maybe like that looks pretty cool. And yeah, you guys can see that this is just adding a bit of more stuff. So this is all it is about, really just spicing up the level. Just keep adding more and more stuff. And if you feel like what you added looks terrible, just take a small break and come back to it. And it should work perfectly. So now we have added a lot of different things, but I kind of want to just add more. So what else could we add? Just take a look at the triggers, see if there are any things that you could add. And if you are new to the editor and I just happen to be here, you're not gonna really know what's going on in here. So another thing I would like to add, and I always like to add this, are, for example, these things or these things. And I'm actually going to use these guys because it's going to bring you, it's going to make you learn about something new. And it's that I want to use these like in the background, kind of have them like that, kind of make them rotate slowly, kind of make it fit with the speed of the level. And then I'm going to make it in the very background. And the problem with this is that it actually has a hitbox. So now if I, for example, want to add like a, I don't know, like a very big one over here that kind of smalls like that, you guys will see that you're just gonna die to it. You're actually not gonna die because we have enabled ignore damage, but otherwise, if you hit that red hitbox, you are gone for. So the way to fix this is very simple. You just go to edit group and then extra and then no touch. And as you guys can see, the hitbox is completely gone, meaning that even if you go through the block, you're not gonna die. And even in here in normal mode, if you go through it, nothing's gonna happen. No ignore damage whatsoever. And yeah, we have removed the hitbox, which is perfect. And now what we want to do is we want to remove this line, which kind of looks weird. So the very first step is to go in here and make the base color, because if we make base color color 7 and detail color 8, you guys are going to see that these are actually the colors. So we want to make the blue one, which is this one, we want to make it 5 invisible. So this way, we only have this one, and that's exactly what we want. Now we can place it in there, but I kind of like to have these color as black so that they kind of look like the shadow, like so, maybe a bit like that. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. And for corners like that one that are pretty small, what I like to do is simply just add all of these guys and make them very big. And now we can paste the color and everything else. And you also have to make them no touch, which they are, but the hitbox just has to be refreshed. And now if we add the rotations as well, now we can take, for example, this one instead of the other ones, and it looks pretty nice. And now we can copy this one, paste it, maybe add it in here like as a random object. And now these ones can be added. It's like in random corners. It just makes the level look cooler, right? This is all the Geometry Dash is about, just adding some items, like random items. Just keep adding more and more different items, and it's just gonna make your level look a lot cooler. And just make sure you don't spam it, right? When we added this torch, I added it once, twice, 3 times, and that's it. Like, there were so many places where I could have added this torch, but I didn't, because I'm just adding some small objects throughout the level, but I'm not exaggerating, which is always very important. Don't exaggerate, otherwise it's not going to be that very cool. Okay, so we have spiced this up a lot, but I still think it needs a little bit more spicing up. So what we're going to do is I'm thinking of adding a custom background, which I'm not too sure how I'm going to do, because it all comes back to your creativity and how much you can how many ideas you can come up with. Before we actually add a custom background, I kind of want to add some, okay, 2 things. Firstly, I want to add some random objects on this mesh or on our thing, and I'm going to do that by simply just yoinking the color of that one and then pasting it in here. And this way it just looks a bit better. And just adding some random props and obstacles around this thing. So just adding some random pixel art here and there just to make this look a bit better. Just add just these random pixel art that brought the YouTube added. He added it for a reason. He added them for you guys to use, and you can just spam them, but just make sure you don't overuse any of them. So we can add these guys because the platform is kind of falling from above. So this way they could just have this kind of cool pixel art style, and we can add this structure over there. This what's it called? Like the net, the spider net, which kind of looks pretty good. And I can add that on like the corners and stuff just to make this level a bit more appealing. And yeah, you can just copy and paste this one. Actually, this one looks a bit too repetitive if we add it over there. So yeah, we're gonna add this one over there, and these guys are also gonna have a like a orangey color like so. And now just look through this section and see if you can find any objects that you can place and just give them the right color, right? You want to give them the right color so that they fit. And yeah, just search through this whole thing in here, see what small objects could fit as a small decoration for your thing, and simply just give them the right color. It's really that easy. You just want to choose the right objects, give them the right color, and that's pretty much it. So, and I'm using a pixel art style, which is why I'm using these decorations from the pixel art. But if you have decided to use a different style than mine, what you could do is simply use these guys. There are also a lot of objects in here, not as many as pixel art, because 2.2 included a lot of pixel art, like a lot of pixel art. So now we're just adding some random stuff to the lava as well, because why not? The lava should also have its part, right? And let me see, I could perhaps add these random spikes over there, like maybe like that, kind of spikes peaking like so, and also in here perhaps like that. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Maybe a bit if we move it like so. And now what else do we need? You just search for some random stuff. We're still searching, so this one would fit maybe in here as like a random object, maybe behind everything. That absolutely does not fit, so we're not going to use it. And let me see. Okay, I think that's enough. I think we have added enough. And you guys saw that I added these guys. And the reason for that is just because even though they're not pixel art, I just feel like they look kind of cool. I don't know why. And I feel like if you add these small details, the level will just have like a different feel if you can understand what I'm saying. So just add these random stuff over here just to make your level look a bit more appealing, and you know, give it like a slim of dip of a different style to make it look a bit better. Just make sure you don't overuse any of these guys, and make sure you don't add anywhere, you know, you might interfere with the gameplay or make somebody think that this is a spike when it's not, right? Just differentiate the colors. Make sure you don't, you know, do some bad stuff to, you know, kind of worry the player that is playing. You always want to make sure to make the decoration not interfere with the gameplay, because we don't want that. We want the decoration just to make the level cool, right? That's all we want. That is our end goal, right? All right, this is looking pretty good. Now, how do we spice this up even more? I said I wanted to add shaders, so we're gonna see how we're gonna add shaders. So shaders are very risky to add because you can add some terrible values and it could completely ruin your level. So we're gonna go very light mode on these shaders. We're just gonna make like a very nice and appealing looking scene. So the shaders, there are a lot of triggers, but the first one is basically just the settings of the shaders, and these are like actually the effects of the shaders. So first thing we want to do is add a shader trigger, and this is just setting where the shader is going to be. We're going to go to edit object, and then we're going to select from background to max. This means that the shaders that are going to apply after that are going to be between the background and the max, so basically on the whole screen. And now if we add a bulge, for example, you guys can see that the background is actually not the background. Everything is going to go bulge mode, which is a bit crazy, but you can go to edit object and adjust the values. And if you go to here and click on edit object, you can actually adjust the values and seeing it live, which is awesome. So we want to go maybe something a bit 0.1, maybe something like that. The radius, you can also play around with the radius, kind of choose what you want, but I think with the radius of 1 works because we want to have a full thing like that, and we want to make it relative as well. And now if you play, you're kind of gonna see that the screen is kind of like a round screen rather than a very linear one, right? So you guys can see that it's kind of round. I don't know how to explain it, but the effect is kind of visible a bit. Now, the reason why I'm not doing this is because RobTop doesn't like levels when they do that. It's just too much effects, which is why I said it's very important to be careful on how you use these triggers. The shader triggers, they are very sensitive, so you better be careful when you use them. So another thing we could add is, what else can we add? We can add a edit color, which is going to make this level look a lot better. So edit color, you can say it as like it just changes the whole atmosphere of the level. Could make it better, could make it worse. The first thing we want to do is bring the fade time to 0. And now we're going to move it to the left and we're going to change some values to see how this would look better. So if you guys can see, if we change the red, it's going to change to red. So CR is the color red, color green, and color blue. And this is the brightness red, brightness green, and brightness blue. So if you bring this one, it's going to be a lot red. And if we bring this to 0, it's just going to be green, of course. And if this has to be 1 by default, but if you forgot the values and messed up, you can just click on this delete, which is going to bring everything back to default. So green, we don't really have that much green. So if we bring it down, it's actually going to make everything red. And that's because there are some blocks in here that are white. So for example, you guys can see that this one is white, everything is white, and that actually has the color green in it, because you can't achieve the color white without green, because white is essentially just red, green, and blue all combined. As you guys can see, if we go to a trigger or something in here and we go to color 1, you guys can see that red is at full, green is at full, and blue is at full. So if we take away the green, it's actually gonna become pink. So we need the green as well, which is why we can't make green 0. But what we can do is we can bring the blue maybe a bit up, or the red also a bit also. And this is it without, and this is it with. So you guys can see this is with, this is without. You guys can see that it just makes the level look a bit cleaner, just makes it look a lot better. And this is looking excellent, honestly. So now the almost final step is we're gonna add, we're gonna pulse these guys. Every time you land on them, we're gonna add like a something. We're gonna make them kind of pulse. So these guys, we're gonna add them on a new group ID of 70, and then we're gonna add a pulse trigger over here, and then we're gonna go to group, and then we're gonna go 70. We're gonna make it like that and make it yellow. So now if you land on it, once the player reaches here, so you kind of want to make it on the perfect spot where the player would land, and now it would kind of turn to yellow. But the effect is not that visible, so I'm actually gonna try to change the color to maybe blue, or let me see if there's anything better than that. I think blue would work pretty good. And to enhance this effect, I'm gonna add these inner glow as well. Actually, what if I make everything like that? Actually, that also does not look that bad. So now every time you land on this guy, it's gonna make it a bit more blue. And what if I also make the pixel art also 70? So this way the pixel art also gets tinted to blue quickly like that. Yeah, that's a lot cooler. And yeah, I still feel like it's still missing something. So what I like to do is add a particle over there. Add it outside of everything and change the edit special. Make this one 1, make it on max, make all these guys on 0. And then what you're going to have is this nice little particle, and then go to here, choose this specific texture, and then make it very big, maybe something like 16, 17, and then bring all these guys to 0. Go to extra, make it end size start equal size this one. And then we're going to add this one to 0, and then we're going to see that this value is 1, so we're going to add a fade out of 1 so that it kind of goes like that. If you make it very big, you guys are going to see that this is perfect. So now the reason why this is important is because we're going to save the level first of all so that we don't lose any progress. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this warp thingy, and then we're going to make it a bit like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to spawn this. We're going to spawn it on here, so that every time you land, it kind of gives it this cool vibe. And this, of course, is going to be blue as well. So color 33 is blue. We're going to make this one extra and then use object color so that it actually uses blue. And now to spawn this over there, what we're going to do is actually a bit... There are many ways of doing this, but I kind of feel like the best way is just to go here, give it a new editor layer, and actually putting it on the block. You could spawn the particle using the spawn particle trigger, but we're not going to do that because we're going to have to copy and paste this too many times for the other block. And you guys can see it looks a lot cleaner. Now to make this actually spawn, instead of just keep looping like that, we can go to edit special and then extra and then make it animate on trigger and quick start. This way this no longer animates. As you guys can see, it actually is still animating because we need to bring the duration to 0. Make it 0 duration instead of -1, make it 0. Make it 0 now. As you guys can see, the particle is going to stop. So now if we give it a new group ID of, for example, 71, and then we use the animate trigger, put it in here, kind of move it to the same x-axis as the pulse trigger, and now we save the level, go to edit object and 70. So now actually it was 71, right? So the particle is 71. We're gonna just animate it. Just put the group ID is 71. And now if we go on it, you guys are gonna see that it's gonna pulse, which is perfect. So now I wanna copy and paste this particle that I have over here. And I'm gonna make it a lot smaller like so that it kind of gives this vibes of, if we copy and paste those guys, we remove these guys so we just see how it looks. You guys can see what I'm aiming for, kind of like this, kind of something like that. And this looks a lot cleaner. I kind of want to move the particles a bit up like so that they kind of, okay, now I want to make them a lot like this so that they kind of make it feel like they are actually having an effect. And this one, instead of, actually I'm going to do it a lot of saturation, and the brightness is going to go full crazy mode. This way the one on the center is going to be a bit more white-ish. I'm going to add another particle, just copy and paste that one, and like that we have a nice one. So we're going to copy and paste this one, move it over there, and click on here and then build helper. This way what this will do is that it's just going to assign new group IDs to these guys, and we're going to make this one a bit bigger because the block is of course bigger, and like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to first of all remove these guys, and we're going to select those ones and all of this glow and these guys. We're going to make them 73, and then we're going to pulse 73 right when you reach over there. And now boom, this one's going to pulse, boom, boom. Looks great. However, you guys saw that this didn't really, like, if you, like, the first one works perfectly. Every time you land on it, it just pulses instantly. And it may have a bit of problems with the offset, but approximately it's kind of right. But in here, if you jump late, it's going to work. But if you jump early, it's just going to pulse like very, very late, which is not what we want. We want it so that every time you kind of land, it's going to do that. So what we're going to do for that is we're actually going to, first of all, see what layer this one is on. So 21, and then we're going to bring this one to also 21 and go to that layer so that they are both on the same layer. And then we're going to put them right on top of each other, select both of them, make them kind of big, and then go to edit object and make them both touch triggered. This way, when the player touches them, they will have an effect. So if we add it over here, when the player reaches that area, the thing is just going to start pulsing, which is exactly what we want. So now if you jump early or late, it's going to pulse when you land on it, which is perfect, exactly what we want. And now it's just time to, you know, copying. Actually, before I copy and paste this one, I kind of want to add one more particle because we are spawning these whole particles over here. So I'm just going to copy and paste one of these guys, bring the scale values to normal. So basically 1 to 1. And now I'm going to add this particle. I'm going to rotate it by 90 and make start spin is equal to end spin. And then I'm going to make it kind of go this angle like that. I'm going to make it go up like that. So this one has to be minus 90. So it kind of goes like that. And then I'm going to add a bit more of these guys. And I'm going to make it a calc instead of this one. And now if you do this and go to give it a bit of a duration, you guys will see that it kind of gives this vibes of something is going on, something like that. So that's awesome. We want it to be a bit faster, and then we're going to add a bit of accelerad, which is going to make them kind of go back, and a bit of gravity kind of going down like so. And we're going to make them actually, we're going to remove this one so that we can actually mess around with the values of this one, make it maybe like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to decrease the amount of particles that we have. So maybe something like this. Always make the max particles one more than emissions. This way it just feels a bit smoother. And actually I'm going to go to a maybe value like that, and maybe maybe a bit less, because what we're gonna do is I think I want more, but I want to do is scale this one down, right? That's what I want. A bit more down, this one down, down. Yes, now we have this particle. It has to be very specific. And the reason for that being is that we're going to have this one as kind of low. And now what's going to happen is that we have this one and we're going to scale it like that. And as you guys can see, this is going to emit this thing, and we're going to make the lifetime a bit less. We're going to add less particles, of course, and a bit less particles and a bit less lifetime, a bit more lifetime, maybe a bit less duration like that, a bit more duration because we want a bit more particles like that. Just adjust the value so that it feels perfect. And now, as you guys can see, every time you land in the block, this is what's going to happen, which is honestly perfect. I'm going to add this one. Kind of want it to be on the new layer because it's a very special particle. And as you guys saw, there was a effect that came. And the effect was a bit too small, so what we're going to do is make it a bit larger and also make this one bigger, make that one a bit bigger, like that. So now we have a much cleaner looking thing. Boom, like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the speed to a lot more, and this one to a lot more, like that. So they kind of go up and then slowly down. Boom. All right, great. We want to do more speed so that there's more effect that you actually landed on it. As you guys can see, if you just adjust the values, it's just going to make it look so phenomenal. Like, you can do whatever you want with this. And now we're going to add more, this guy, so they actually go back. Boom, boom, like that. Awesome. This is looking phenomenally excellent. Boom. Great. So we're going to copy and paste this one over there this time. Make it a bit bigger, just slightly smaller than the previous ones. And then this one has a group ID of 73, was it? 73, I think. And we're going to add it over there, and boom, boom. Great. So that's actually not 73, that was 72. So 72, boom, boom. Great. Awesome. This is looking excellent. The effects are working, my dudes. And now what we are going to do is simply just copy and paste this throughout the whole part, because we have made something cool and we actually deserve to overuse it because it just looks phenomenal. So these guys can go up. We're going to make them like that, and then we're going to scale this up like crazy, like that maybe. And then this one, of course, have to flip it as well. And this one goes crazy as flipping well. And don't forget to select everything and go to build helper. This way, these ones have 74, like all the particles have 74. And the animate has 74 as well. Now it's just time to change these guys. So select everything that is on here, and the glow, of course, and the inner one as well. Give it a new group ID of 75, and then change this one to 75. Boom, boom, boom. Great. Okay, so the particle was a bit too big over here, as you guys saw, and you can just adjust this as you want. So maybe mine was a tiny bit too big, so maybe like that. And if you make it a bit smaller, like so, it should be a lot better. Boom. Great. Okay, so make sure to move these guys actually where you land, like just a bit above the block, and make it maybe a bit like so if you want, just so you cover more area. Great. Boom, boom, boom. So this is gonna look great for this part, because we're just gonna copy and flipping paste. So all of you guys come over there. We're gonna copy and paste you, and copy and paste you over here as well. Now you guys go big, and you guys go big as well. So now we have 67 and 77, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to this pulse, copy and paste it, and make it on scale 1. And now we're gonna have to disable this one so that we can actually see what's going on, and we can copy just select them, give them 78, and this one now is gonna be 78. So 78 on that one, and then the next one we're gonna select them as well. So you guys and you guys are 79, and the one after it is 80. So this one, and then that one, and then 80. So we're gonna select all of them, make them, if you select them all and you feel like you see this menu instead of that other one, it's because you have selected another object somewhere that doesn't have these values, which is why it's going to break. So we're going to make sure that we only select the triggers And now if you do this, it's gonna look clean as flipping heck. So like that, we're gonna add this pulse a bit like that so that you can actually reach it. And this one is of course gonna go like here. And now we also need to, we can't forget that we forgot to add the particles of that middle block. So we're gonna copy those ones and we're gonna scale all of the particles down to maybe something like this would work pretty good. And this animation can go like that on top of the other one. It doesn't have to be pixel perfect, but that would work as well, like that. So now boom, boom. This looks so much better, like the landings. It just feels so much cleaner. And now the final one, this block, what we're gonna do is simply copy whatever is in here and we're gonna yoink it and make sure we enable this one so that we can see what's going on. Build helper, flip them and make them go up like so. And we're going to move the particles, both of them, to the center so that we can actually scale them up like so, maybe a bit more like that. And now these guys, we can flip them to see if we have done the area. Yes, we have, I think 82, is that new? So yeah, 82 is a new group. So we have done the group, the build helpers. So now the final step is to select all of those guys and all of these guys that are in here. Just make sure we don't select anything that we don't want to select. So exactly like that, this one as well. And you guys are on layer 8 on group ID 83. So now the pulse is gonna pulse 83. So now boom, 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 boom. Oh, you guys saw there was a small issue. So, okay, there are actually a few issues in here, and it's that, first of all, you guys can see that if I land in here, nothing happens. And in here, if I land twice, nothing is gonna happen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually copy and paste this one to here as well, because you're gonna do another landing. And now boom, boom, looks a lot cleaner. It just makes it look more realistic, because we said every time you fall, there's gonna be a pulse. And it is realistic now that every time you fall, there is a... yeah, it does exist, indeed. Nice! This is looking really phenomenal. I absolutely love the way this is turning out. And what I actually kind of want to try out is kind of copy what we had in this part, if you guys remember. So these ones we have actually locked the layer off. So we're going to go select all of these guys that we made, and we're going to paste them randomly on here. We're going to select these guys, copy the values of them, and then paste them over here. So that every time there's a pulse, you're going to see that there's a light, and it's not just some random, you know, glowy objects, but it's actually going to be a light that is being emitted through these guys, which is gonna look pretty good. Trust me. Look at it. So if you do this, and then we can move it like that, and yeah, look at it. So now it just looks a lot cleaner. Just adds more, you know, stuff to it. So now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna make this platform kinda, because the level kind of feels like it's too static. Like if you take a look at the structures, it's just too static, and Roblox doesn't like that, and nobody likes that either. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this platform, we're gonna hide the ground first of all, and then we're gonna make sure that this platform is fully filled below the background, below the ground I mean, and it's filled in the perfect state like so. And now we're gonna select the shadow, and now we're gonna select everything that is related to this block specifically, because oh, now this is gonna get hard because there are a lot of active objects, but I don't think this should be that much of a problem, like so. And now we're gonna give it a group ID of 84. We're gonna actually we're also gonna give these guys 84, the particles we have selected as well. We're gonna move it up by like that. And now the shadow is a bit broken, so make sure you fix it. And now what we're going to do is going to simply move 84 to the bottom. We're going to move 84 down by, like, I don't know, 20, or let's do 15 on a pretty long time. So like that. Actually, that's a bit too much, so maybe like that. Actually, let's do 10 and like that. And then, yeah, now the block is moving and it just looks a lot better. And just make some random blocks move. So I'm going to make this one, for example. I'm going to make this one move. I'm going to select all of the necessary stuff that we need, including the shadow. We can't forget that, because if the block moves, that shadow is moving, brother. So what we're going to do is we're going to give this also 85. We're going to move it up by 15 this time. time, and we're gonna make sure that these guys don't show. So Mr. 85 is gonna go down by 15, and this one's gonna be a bit longer because it doesn't really matter, we can't really see that object. And you guys can see that this just brought so much life to the level and made it look a lot cooler. And that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we're gonna spice this up even more, which I